We're hopping back in for our next chat for this, well, I guess this afternoon now. And again, my name is Trey Green, and I am the founder of Black in Media. Black in Media Day. I created Black in Media Day last year during the whole moment with the media reckoning, just realizing that we knew as Black media professionals, we knew the challenges, the microaggressions, all those things that we had been facing up until that point where, oh, I guess people actually care about this for some reason, even though we've been saying this for decades. So in that time, I really just decided, you know what, I want to build a space for when these stories are our trauma is no longer trending, when we're still at our desk, at our computers, working our beats, carrying our cameras, whatever we may be doing as Black media professionals, working with our clients if we work in PR or marketing. I want to have a space where we could celebrate not only the challenges that we face, but also the way that we've been able to flip those challenges, work through those challenges, and continue to make content that specifically centers Black folk, Black stories, and really is the pillar of the means for us to tell our stories, and is in a lot of cases Black media professionals. So Black in Media Day, I founded that, I created the day, and we had the whole social campaign last year. And then when we circled back around this year to celebrate Black in Media Day, I also wanted to add a larger professional development function to it, a piece to it. So me and then our Black in Media, our experiential programming manager, Brianna Tripp, we worked together to pull together this summit that's happening today. And we really wanted it to be a means for folks to celebrate being a Black media professional, learn, gain resources and skills, and more than anything, just continue to build ourselves up. I always say all the time, I'm not begging, we don't have to beg anybody to see us as Black media professionals. We run this. We are the voice. We are, the culture and the ideas. We push, and we as Black folk inspire so many things. And I wanted Black in Media Day, the Black in Media Summit, to be our space to really, really just celebrate the fact that we already know we're dope. Like, we ain't gotta beg nobody to see us. Like, we have our spaces, and we can uplift ourselves on our own, and that's more than enough. And I've been saying that the mission for today is this space. It's Black trauma, not here today. So Black trauma is absent. We're here, and it is Black triumph abundant. That is what we want Black in Media Day to be. And when I was thinking of programming ideas or panel ideas, one thing that came to mind for me is the fact that after being in this industry, close to 15 years now, which is crazy to say, part of what has helped me power through a lot of the rough moments and tough times in my career, but has also just brought me joy, I've enjoyed doing, is growing with my fellow media professionals. And I won't even say building my network, because in a lot of cases, you'll meet people and you'll cross paths with folks that you just naturally connect. It's no building that needs to be done. You understand each other. You're kind of on that same wavelength and vibe, and there is a bond, and a lot of times it's unspoken, with people that you come through your life. So, I was in the National Association of Black Journalists and in undergrad, and that's where I met a lot of folks. And then even just through my career, my jobs and my teams that I've worked on, I met people, Black media professionals that way too, events, all that stuff. So I wanted to do a panel and have a conversation just about how to harness and how to build and how to kind of continue to grow with your family. That's what I would call a lot of people in my circle. They're not my coworkers. They're not my colleagues. They're my family. They're my friends. Some my best friends in a lot of cases. So we pulled together a panel with Sylvia Obell, Jameer Pond, Jaz Woods, and then also Heather Haynes, aka Homegurl Heather. And they kind of speak to me, and I can say I've seen, crossing paths with them and just knowing of them. I think that they have a lot to share about being able to kind of grow and respect and really kind of cherish your network And I'm really excited to have this chat about friendships, relationships in the industry. So we're gonna push them into the broadcast. And we'll get this conversation started. So and we can do this real quick because y'all can see the screen is packed. There's a lot of us on here. So you can kind of just briefly kind of say what you do just to give people an idea, and maybe even say how long you worked in media if you want to, just to give people an idea of how long you've kind of been existing in the media space. Oh, we'll start with Sylvia.
Okay. Hi, yes. I get what do I do? I'm an entertainment writer. Host.
I think your audio is a little
got some feedback.
Yeah. It might be your AirPod.
It might be.
Maybe. Oh wait. You're muted. Let me unmute you. Let's see. Talk. No. We'll just yeah, in Black and Media, we don't have an IT budget just yet. So you
hear me?
It still has a delay on it a little bit.
Tap now. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll circle around. But Jameer, you can go and introduce yourself.
Okay. I sound cool?
Yeah, you sound fine.
All right, cool. Cool. First of all, let me say I'm honored to be here just because, wow. Yeah, to be Black in media is certainly special, and this is a special time for Black people in media. And it feels good to be a part of this generation that's moving the ball forward. That was good. All right, so my name is Jameer Pond. I am a content creator, director, cultural commentator, producer, a lot. I started in media probably in 2011, doing graphic design and radio. And I guess I'll tell you about my career later, but I work for Condé Nast Entertainment as a creative branded director. And I specifically work for Vanity Fair at the moment. Yeah, I look forward to talking with y'all. Is that good enough? That's cool? It's cool.
That was perfect.
All right, cool. Boom.
All we needed.
Let's do it.
Am I next?
Yeah, you're next, Heather.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this space, Trey. My name is Heather Haynes, aka Homegurl Heather. I am from New Orleans, Louisiana. I got my start in the media industry 10 years ago exactly, working at Columbia Records as an intern, Complex Media as an ad sales assistant, then transitioned to production, and then went to Viacom for the past 7 years as a producer and director, working on all things television related. So yeah.
I'll go next. Figured it's me. Hi guys. It's an honor to be here. And I just want to say thank you, Trey, for having us here. And this panel specifically is very full circle for me. I'll get into it later, but just a little bit. I started out in media probably about almost coming up on a decade a little bit. I'll say probably about 8 years. I was doing the radio thing in college, but it wasn't until I moved to New York and I got in grad school at NYU and was really just doing all these undergrad internships that I really started. I actually used to intern under Jameer. So to be a part of this panel is really a blessing. I'm not trying to be cliche or anything, because, as I continue to navigate the journey, and even the topic of this, whole panel is, why I'm able to still even call someone like Jameer a friend, even a mentor. So I'm grateful to be here. But yeah, I started off in the journalism space. I was the radio girl, interned at High 97. Then I've always been into like lifestyle marketing too. And how can we tell our story through like lifestyle and like innovation? So I was real heavy in like Rock Nation digital space as an intern. And I was working with Vashti as well, just running around with her and recording her parties, being behind the DJ booth and stuff. And now, that's not me, sorry. I had to look at my phone, but I say all that to say after like freelancing for a while, and like now I'm in New York now, but I'm actually based in LA because I am the hip hop and R&B curator for Universal Music Group. I'm a part of their music strategy and tactics department. It's the first of its kind there. So yeah, it's a blessing to be here with y'all and share this space.
I'm so proud of you, Jaz. Let me just throw that out there. Heather, I'm proud of you too. This is a full circle moment. This is really dope. So, yeah.
Yes, and it's nice to meet you. Well, connect with you, Heather. I've heard like great things. So just like connect with you like via digital is really nice.
Same.
Yes, look at this. All of this love. That's all you need after lunch. Some positive energy to push us through the rest of this day.
Breakfast in LA.
You are right. I be forgetting about the time differences sometimes. How when it comes to, I think we know how to meet folk, so we're not even going to worry about trying to talk about how to actually network. We know how to go out. We know how to, most people do. You know how to kind of talk and do that piece of it. How have you been able to make sure that, I think one of the big parts about being a Black media professional, because of obviously it's a tough industry for us. One of the big parts for me when I think of my good friends in this industry, my best friends, they are there. Like we understand each other. We've grown and learned how to support and show up. So I guess to start off, I would say, what is your advice, or how do you show up for those people that you consider your friends and in your network in a way that they can realize that you matter to me, you are of value to me, I want to grow with you in this industry? Anybody can jump in. We'll just say Heather. I'll call y'all out.
Yes, for the call out. I feel like I am the epitome of networking lateral. Like I remember Issa Rae has a quote like saying network lateral, don't network up, because the ones that came in with you, they're going to get you, they're going to see you, they're not going to try to like, one up you in any way. And because like when I moved to New York, I was in the Ween internship where it was all like it was like 30 girls all around the same age, all fresh out of college, struggling, trying to find their way in New York City. And 10 years later, we all thriving in our careers. That's the biggest takeaway I got from that whole experience was like, we all came in here with nothing. And to see us 10 years later, like thriving is like the best group of community that you could ever have. Like I know at the end of the day, I can call my wing sister and be like, yo, you know somebody who knows somebody, and we just gonna get it. So I do think it's very important to like make genuine friends and then champion each other, because one day you guys are going to be like the new ones in charge, the new ones thriving. So you'll always have like a friend to lean on. So like that's definitely my steez for sure. Like I don't think I'm good with the networking up, because I really don't know what to say, and I feel like a lot of people in the industry are a little like pretentious to me. So I prefer organic relationships. So my people that's with me, then we gonna figure it out together.
I feel that.
Oh, and I was gonna let she's back in here. So this is the Miss Sylvia Obell.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. No, yeah. What are we talking about? Let me introduce myself.
You can just introduce yourself real quick.
I'm an entertainment writer, on-air host, podcast host. I currently am, I guess, freelance, but I have a podcast with Netflix, Strong Black Lead. Okay, now listen, and I write features for various publications, and I am just really much enjoying not belonging to any professional company. Yes, that's me.
She's free. That's what
I'm
she's
free.
on Black and Media Day. That is the goal, I think, for most all of us. And you know, I'll kind of throw this question. I'll throw it to Jaz, because this is a good example to me. And it was when we added you on, I didn't even realize all the connections that were happening. Clearly, I know Jameer, I know Heather, I know Sylvia, and then Brianna knows Jaz. So that kind of just shows you just how, because Black media is small. Like, we're a small little group. Now we move big. Okay, we are colossal when we do what we do, but there is always somebody that in most cases you're connected to. But Jaz, for you, when you're in those spaces, so you can think of where you first met these folks, how did you think through? I can be a little shy, honestly. So a lot of times I'm awkward when I don't know people. I'm not always naturally the most comfortable going in situations that are kind of brand new. Or I can think of my internships where I was just like, I gotta talk. I don't know y'all. I don't know. I don't want to talk. Like, nah. But Jaz, how did you navigate? Because I'm sure there may be people on here that are in internships. Clearly, we're also virtual, so that adds another challenge. How did you navigate building relationships in a new space, possibly being, a little younger, learning your skills, honing your skills, but not necessarily being an expert at that time? How are you able to do that authentically and organically? Because clearly we can see that connection remains.
Yeah, I love that question. That's a great question. Specifically because I'm so big, and Jameer knows this too, on going up for the Midwest. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. So not only am I a small town girl, I'm Black, and I'm a woman, and I'm young. And I've always been like the youngest person in a lot of spaces. And I've always felt sometimes, out of place because I am the quote unquote girl that's not from a big city. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I pronounce things and people don't pronounce them the same. So that used to throw me off a little bit. But I honestly can say, going back to Heather's point, working more lateral instead of focusing up has been my authentic vessel. But also just, not from my experience being an intern, it kind of has paved the way for me to be like an intern champion. So now a lot of like interns that funnel through, whether if it's through a nonprofit that I'm spearheading or through UMG, they kind of become like my babies, because I know what that's like to be, an intern and possibly feel like people are underestimating you, or people are not listening, and they're rather listening to reply to you, rather listening to really understand what you're going through. I think being a champion for younger people and continuing to do that is what's been able to help me grow and be authentic in this space. I was probably 20, 21 years old when I was interning at High 97, running up to Jameer like, hey, I have this thesis idea. Do you want to hear? That was just me. That was how I was. And I couldn't change that. I'm still like that to this day. I'll be in a Zoom meeting and someone might say, hey, this artist just funneled through. But if it's a Black artist like a Mary J. Blige and or a Joy Oladokin, who I feel should get more streaming visibility, or how can we share their story, I'm going to share that excitement. So I think just authentically being, excited about like things and not kind of letting the mental gymnastics get in the way. And I know that may sound easier said than done. But for me to go through the mental gymnastics, I'm a big MySpace nerdy girl. So there would even be times where I would be in the space and I'll just, whether if it was High 97 or Rock Nation or a Dreamville office, and I'm like, okay, how can I get back in that mode when I feel like someone might not understand me, of how can I tell this story? So I'll go back into that mode of storytelling that I used to do through MySpace in my mind mentally. I know it sounds crazy, and I think it's called contemporalizing or something. I think that's the term. But yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it definitely does. Because I think it's easy to talk about navigating relationships once you have them built and you're kind of in your career and comfortable. But I think early on it can be tough trying to figure out, okay, how do I figure this out? If you maybe haven't been in situations like an NABJ or certain other kind of organizations where I feel like a lot of us are able to make connections as Black media professionals early on. Now, Sylvia, I think that you are a very, and I think we all are good examples of this, just knowing most people on the panel, but there's something to be said about the company you keep, if that makes sense, and your ability. I would say like the Black Girl Coalition in media is strong, like y'all don't play. But I think it's something to be said about the fact of being able to, you compliment the folks that you're close friends and best friends with and close to. But then on the flip side of it, y'all also, I feel like you do a good job of, you have your own lanes too, you know? And I just thought it would be great to kind of speak to, and not specifically, you don't have to talk just about your friend circle, but I think in general, we meet a lot of people. I can think I still have business cards from NABJ 2012, probably 50, 60 business cards. Everybody is not going to roll with you. They're not going to be your person. How have you been able, Sylvia, to parse through all 100 business cards, all 5,000 hands you've shaken? How are you able to parse through and say, you know what? You're actually cool. Like, I think that you're somebody that I want to grow with. And how do you use your discernment to figure that out? Because I will be honest, not everybody's out for your good. And you have to be able to figure out who is and who isn't. How have you been able to grow and, like I said, use your discernment for the people that you want in your space and that you feel like you can grow with and pour into?
I don't know if it's as deliberate as, you know what I mean, as it comes up. I think for me, coming from NABJ where I met you, Trey, when we were in college still, I think being a part of an organization like that where like we would do the student projects and like it was very tribal. Like it was like they taught us early, like I'm also coming from an HBCU. It's very tribal, like the JLMC team, you know what I mean? Shout out to A&T, Aggie Proud, everything Aggies in the building, but hello. I think like coming from there where it was very much like, how do we as a team even get to the convention? You know what I mean? We used to be at the convention 4 Aggies to a hotel, 5, 6 Aggies to a hotel room just so we could be there to get the job. You know what I mean? Or like the internship or whatever. And then like even through that, like you kind of like, I think when I was exiting, I heard how to talk about building a cross. I really think it's that type of mentality where it's like when you're in certain rooms, people have already proven themselves to get into those rooms. So you kind of, for the most part, so you kind of know that like, okay, like if you're here and I'm here, it's kind of like looking across at people who have us like at the table and being like, we could be fighting against each other or we could build. And I think it's like more of it's just a collaboration, and it's just, I think we all go further like together in that sense. And I think for me, it's very been much about like when I'm in certain rooms, whether I was at Essence. I think also like my starting places had a lot to do with the people I was meeting because I was very much at Black Girl headquarters. You know what I mean? Like my first internships were at ebony.com and Essence magazine, you know, and then I was at Essence. That was my first full-time job. And then I get to BuzzFeed. And, you know, there's Cocoa, like, we didn't call it Cocoa Butter back then. That's how long I was at BuzzFeed. It was like Panthers or something like that. But it was like, literally, I remember having the guy tapping me on the shoulder and being like, hey, I'm gonna add you to a Slack room. You know what I mean? Like, it's just very much like every room I've been, and it was like all the Blacks, you know, at the time we're in there. And I was like, oh my God, hey guys. So it was like, I think it's almost like that's how I came up in the time I came up in media. I would say like a decade. I know you asked earlier, like, I think maybe 2010 is maybe when I feel like I really started writing. But like, I think I was still in school, so I aged myself. But like, I was probably like, I was getting things done. But I think like coming from that sense, it was very much like good people and just being able, I think the discernment is kind of just like the way you would any friend group. And I think there's people who you naturally lean to and towards, like even with like, or it's like situations where it's completely spontaneous and then you guys are cool. Like I think me, Gia, and Scotty and Danielle have told that Essence Fest story 1,000 times. Like we literally just all were at Essence Fest early because we were all doing the press junket the day before. And Gia was like, let's have dinner because we're the only ones like that we know in New Orleans. And then like we all just bonded that night. And it's like, we've been cool ever since. And I think there's a whole thing kind of just about yeah, like I think it's very natural, and it should never be about. I think there's a difference between like becoming friends with the people around you when you see each other in same rooms and just naturally bond versus trying to make friends to do that. And I think like that energy can be caught. It can be smelled. Like I know like Heather's really good at catching that energy. Okay. Like it's very much like, it's like, you can tell the difference. And I think like the main thing is always like being somebody's friend can maybe help get you in the room, but it's not going to keep you there. You know, I'm like, I recommended a few people on this panel for jobs. And it wasn't just because they were like my closest friends. It was because like, I knew that they could deliver. And when they tapped me, I was like, yep, you can do that. So yes, I will help you. And that's the difference. I think a lot of people just want to be your friend so that you can tap them. And it's like, but I don't know anything about your work experience. A lot of the friends who I put on is because I've worked with them. We've been in the trenches together. I know how they operate. And so that's important.
I'm sorry, I was feeling that a lot. 100% Sylvia. Because no, seriously, like, especially like I said, coming in so like young, and you know, I've learned a lot. And in this time now, especially now that I live in LA, I am so focused on being versus doing. Because at least I feel like in our industry and some of the spaces you navigate, some people will try to befriend you off of what you're doing. And it's like, but that's not the being. Do you understand the being though? Do you understand what this comes with and discernment? So I really love that. I wanted to just chime in.
No, that's real. And Jameer, for you, there's something to be said about kind of just because y'all have got to go to like Jameer's Instagram, and he's like a whole plant dad. The video, he's hilarious. Okay,
yeah.
Look, they made a whole appearance for Black and Media Day, and
sure
we thank
did
for their presence.
Sure did.
I think that there's something to be said about being able to be yourself authentically.
Oh,
and not be in circles where you may have to, you know, have to tweak my personality a little bit, or have to fit into this idea of, oh, this is a crew I'm rolling with, or to be with whoever, you know, maybe the aspirational people to be with, or whatever the case may be for people, how they approach that idea. So can you just speak a little bit to how you maintain, because I think there can be a lot of times within any industry, and you know, with any relationship or friend group where you know, maybe you were like, oh, do I need to do a little bit more of this or that?
Oh, absolutely.
How can you speak to just kind of how you are able to maintain your authenticity within, you know, your crew, within your friendships, within your relationships, and then also I guess you could say dually how the people around you
Man, okay, so this is something I had to learn. It didn't naturally come. I think to Sylvia's point, like being a part of a hub, not only that iron sharpens iron, but it's also like these people naturally support you and encourage you. It's a total game changer. When you're not around people like that, you are put in a position where you dim your own light, or you put yourself in a box just to appease the people, just to make everybody else feel comfortable. And I spent years doing that. So it wasn't like natural. I suffer from imposter syndrome, being in rooms and being in spaces where I've had to dim my light because I didn't know how I could be myself. And it took, you know, unfortunately, it took the pandemic for me to really surround myself with not only the people who just hit me up and be like, hey, just checking on you. Didn't want anything, didn't need anything, didn't want me to build or link up to, you know, whatever, let's build, bro. You know, you hear all that stuff in the industry. But it was just like genuine people who were looking out for my best interest. So not only that, but I had to really spend time with myself to figure out, all right, what does Jameer like? What does Jameer love to do? What do I want to bring to the world? What kind of content do I want to produce? Who am I? Figuring out those key identifiable questions, because it makes you a more sound creative. It makes you a more sound person. So now I present my full self when I speak to people because I have a better understanding of who I am. And for a lot of people, you get in the industry and you see the glitz and glamour. A lot of people run this stuff because other people are doing it. If I admire Sylvia so much, some people will be like, damn, I want to be just like Sylvia. What's wrong with being just like you? You know, you can admire Sylvia and you should admire Sylvia and everybody on this panel because we've all done really great things. But there's nothing wrong with showing up as yourself. And I find that a lot of people in this industry, especially starting out, are looking for that place. It's like, oh, I want to go be the next. I want to go be the next. Why don't you be the present you? And that has really been instrumental as far as my progress. Like, it's helped me understand who I am. It's helped me understand my worth. Help me understand just the work I've already done and the things I've already started. Like, sometimes I think as creatives and especially Black people, because we always expect it to be spectacular and we do these things that are incredible, and it's just like, oh, it's a regular Tuesday. And people be looking at you like, what do you just did X, Y, and Z? And it's like, yeah, but I got to keep on moving. I would encourage everybody to take a step back, acknowledge the fact that you even made it past the starting line. Because how many people do we know that have not made it past the starting line? So the fact that you're even in the race and moving at your own pace is a credit to you. So me now surrounding myself with people who I know foster that energy, foster the encouragement, foster a kick in the ass when I need one, okay, to get your shit together, you know, all that helps me to make me a better me. So it's difficult because you have to identify who you are first to be your own light, to show up as your own full self, to now be in a circle where, yes, I admire who this person is and I'm proud of this person. I love this person. And it's no jealousy. It's no slight. We're making each other better because we know who we are and we know what kind of push that each of us need. And it's not a competition. You know, a lot of people compete with people in their circle and it's not like healthy. It's like, I'm low key preying on this person. And that's when it gets a little murky. That's when I got to fall back and just like observe. So all that, that's all I'll say. All that.
We'll take it all.
All of it.
All good points. All right. And you made a point about oh my gosh, and it just escaped me, but it was a good point, and I was going to build off of it. Anywho, we'll figure it out. It'll come to me. But yes, when it comes to I guess kind of that idea of, yes, you want to be authentic. You want to have people in your corner that you can grow on. I know what I was going to say. How do you approach the idea, or how do you approach, and I'll throw this to Heather. How do you approach those tough love moments? Because you need friends that can check, you had said, Jameer, you were talking about checking, like people having to check you sometimes.
Wow, Heather, perfect person. Heather, tough love.
Dang. How I get to follow the bishop giving us a sermon? I gotta check the people.
Oh, Lord.
And Sylvia already set you up for that question. That is so funny. Oh my God.
Because we want to be real. That's what Black and Media Day Summit is about, being real, giving folks real answers and not a bunch of BS.
Well, that's one thing you can definitely say about me. It's
real. Stand up
all day.
Yes, I'm as real as they come. And I don't know if it helps me or hurts me in this industry, but I just have to be myself. I feel like it is. And I do feel like, because I don't do like the kissing and like the smoozing and all that type of stuff, I do feel like sometimes it hasn't gotten me as far as I think that I sometimes could be. But also I go to sleep at night at peace, and I don't compare myself to other people's journeys. And like being in it for 10 years and seeing my counterparts reach a level of success that I haven't reached yet in whoever's eyes, like it doesn't bother me because I know who I am. I know my journey is my journey. And the main part about it is my peace. Like I'm not up at night worrying about someone that's not authentic in my circle. I know who my friends are. I know who my circle is. I'm not up at night trying to wonder if someone thinks some type of way about me. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I know who I am. And I think at the end of the day, that is the best feeling to have. in this industry, you will get a lot of like fake love, 100%. Like I've experienced it. We all have experienced it. I do think it takes a while to figure out what that means to you and how you want to navigate it. I have friends that navigate it quite well and they use it to their advantage. They understand the relationship and they use the relationship and they compartmentalize that. I'm not good at that. If I can't like fake, I can't be like, Jameer, what's up, blah, blah, blah. All right, fuck you when it's time to go to sleep. Like, I can't do that. I have to really like you in real life and in work life. So that's just how I do it. But I know other people have different tactics. But I do think it's the New Orleans in me that
I was just about to say, that's that New Orleans.
It's just in me. I just can't.
I can relate. Being from Cleveland, Ohio, I was going to say too, to go back to the question that was asked, I think my hometown is what allows me to really navigate some of these spaces, because you can move in and what Hov say, you can, know how to move through a room full of vultures. Like, and that's like my hometown. When you from a place like New Orleans, Cleveland, anywhere that is marginalized spaces, like we literally have to have that discernment all the time. So I think I take that to go back to your point, Heather, because that really resonated with me. That's how I'm able to kind of navigate and be myself, and but also not feel like I got to keep my guard up, because I don't want to be that either. I don't want to walk around everywhere like, ooh, I don't like.
No, not at all. It's all with love. Like I'm very I spread the love, but it's also like what it is though. Like you got to be real.
Right. Yeah. And Sylvia, can you talk about, because again, like you said, you want real people, you don't have to necessarily schmooze and all that stuff. Once you find your tribe, your family, your community, whatever you call them, there are times where I'm sure you have to be real with them too, but I think when they respect your opinion, when they can come to you and that what they're saying is for your better and you're good, not to hurt you. But how do you approach, Sylvia, those moments where, and it doesn't have to be anything dramatic. Like we've probably had moments, I'm sure, where you kind of had to check me on something or just talk me through something. Not even kind of, I know we've had those. And I was better for those conversations because I'm like, okay, I trust Sylvia. I needed her help, her word here. She gave it to me. How do you navigate, I guess, kind of being respectful of your friends and their temperaments or their personalities and those soft spots that they have, to make sure that whatever you're trying to share with them lands, and that you're able to take good away from that moment of kind of either it's checking or checking in on someone versus it leaving a kind of a sour note or maybe darkening a friendship in some form?
That's a tricky one. I think I think it's really just all about, like, especially when you work with friends. And I think like that's also why I couldn't work with all of my friends, not even all of my friends in media, only certain friends. Like when me and Scotty decided to do this podcast together, one of the reasons why we knew it was cool was because it was like, you have the same work ethic as me. So I'm not gonna be like, she's not pulling her end of the way, or like vice versa, or what I mean? Like we both kind of were looking for the same thing. And we said like early on, like I remember before we even launched, we were like, our friendship comes first, like friendship before the business. Like we're not gonna let this show ever get in the way of our friendship. And if it starts to, the podcast will end. So like, I think it's about knowing what you're prioritizing, even when it's the work and the friendships too, but also knowing your friends or like knowing your people. Like I think there's if you're coming from a good, genuine, constructive place, I think no matter, and I think, Trey can attest to this. I know for a fact, like I have the tendency to bit more like straight shooter. Like sometimes I have to, like, I don't really know how to sugarcoat. I've been working on it, you know what I mean? During the pandemic, but like, I don't really know how to sugarcoat. So like, my thing is kind of like, I have to make sure that when I am saying things, A, I'm being deliberate, and B, it's not unsolicited. Like that's one of the big things too. Like a lot of times you may see people moving and you may not, but you gotta let people make their own mistakes. You gotta let people do what they do. You have to know this is my friend. They're not my coworker. Like we may be in the same industry, but it's not my job to navigate their career for them. I think it's very much like if somebody asks you for advice or asks you for input, they're already coming from a place where they're ready to receive it. And so like for me, sometimes I really wait for that. unless somebody's like really out here wilding. But like, I have a good amount of friends. Like, I have a good group. I don't believe anybody's ever out here wilding where I had to be like, yo, Jameer, all right, put your shirt back on. Why are you dancing in the rain? You done show BuzzFeed your chest 16 times. No, but like and we love to know, but I really think it's just about, I think a lot of what we're speaking to is just about being genuine, right? Like really just being genuine. And I think people can tell, for the most part, when things come from a genuine place and when you're doing something to uplift somebody or to make them better versus to bring them down. Because there's a lot of people who will try to give you that type of, who will try to break you down because they're afraid of your light or intimidated by it, or want you to do as good as them, but not better than them. So they'll take advantage of that access to you to try to do whatever. And you have to be clear about like when somebody is doing something because they care about you, or when somebody's doing something because they don't, you're going a little far, you're coming up a little too high for their liking, you know? So I think it really just always comes from about being genuine. And I think that's why the way I ground myself, and I think also to your point, when the friendships are genuine and they know you love them because you show love in so many other ways, when you do give that advice, they have all that other stuff to think about too. So they know it's like, Sylvia's not out to get me. She's done all of these things. She's carried me in all of these ways. She would not do that, right? So it's really about character. But I think like all of the relationships I have in media, like I said, for the most part, have come from the ones who I would consider, they come from us working together. You know, all of my mentors, I've never been can I be your mentee? I've never said that in my life. Like, I don't understand how those work. Like, you can't just like pop a mentorship in the microwave. Like, all of my mentors were people who were my editors or my bosses or managers in my newsroom. They saw me work day to day to day. They helped me craft things. They edited my stories. We built a relationship, and that's like organically. So I'm very much about organic relationships and being nice in that way. But I do think it's just about, if you prove your character, I think people will understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Character. Very important word.
Because this industry is, and if it's talking about the Black part of it, and I'm like, there's been so many times where I've been like, oh, thank God I was nice. Thank goodness I didn't send that email, because you come back around and that person's suddenly casting for something.
Okay.
Or whatever. You're like, you know, I'm so glad I held my tongue that day. Ooh, I'm glad. Amen. So like, it's really small. It's very small. So you have to, and people will talk. Like your name calls you. So you have to conduct yourself accordingly. Yeah.
And Jaz, speaking of, we can talk on the good, you know, and having your circle that is here, that has character, uplifting you. But in all honesty, there are times where you hit a road or a wall with a friend and someone in the industry that you're close to, and you may have to part ways. And that's not saying that that's a bad thing or it's just a bunch of drama. It could be just a natural kind of disillusionment or natural kind of just parting. Or untethering would be a good example or a good word for that too. But Jaz, how do you, and you don't have to go into detail, we ain't trying to dig up into, you know, your personal stuff, but I guess you could say like in a more general sense, what tips do you have for people that may be in an instance or a situation where somebody that they loved or were really cool with or thought that they were going to be riding this media road for the rest of the time, there's a fracture and it's broken, and now you're kind of having to part ways with someone. I guess, can you speak to any experiences that you've had, or just kind of how to move through the not as kind of cheery and beautiful piece of life? That's just that's a part of life.
Yeah, I can definitely speak on that, especially coming from, like I said, being like an intern in so many different spaces. And Sylvia and Heather touched on this too, but I think it's really important to have accountability partners. Like a lot of my friends or people that I count on in my life to hold me accountable, that's what I call them, whether if it's a gym accountability partner or literally something, you know, when it revolves around keeping your integrity intact, because people will try you. And it's not always sometimes, you know, materialistic or having to do with your title. A lot of times it's your aura. You know what Jameer was saying, it could literally be the light. And, you know, that's something I've had to navigate through. And I think any tips I could give for that is, and it's going to sound so cliche, but grace. Grace has saved me more than using vinegar and throwing vinegar out. Because the times I have thrown the vinegar and I've been like, you know what, I'm from Cleveland, I'm going to show you. It's never worked. Like, it's actually always like backfired. And then I'm like, okay, that's why I got laid off. Okay, makes sense. But, you know, just keeping it thorough. I'm just keeping it real here. But it's just, when I look back on those moments, though, I don't regret it either, because I had to go through that. I had to go through, grow through, you know, the transition of departing from companies, departing from, you know, like people I met in those spaces. But when I'm here, you know, doing my thing now, whether if it's at like a UMG or just freelancing anywhere in LA, and I run into those people again, it's always love. And I think that goes back to show that I was always in a space and for advice to show kindness and show grace. Grace can literally be you being quiet when you know you're right, but you're like, you know what? I don't know if this is the time right now to prove that I'm right. But I'm gonna be graceful and let, you know, God bring this back full circle. So if that's really my advice I can give, is just grace. I know it might sound cliche, harder said than done, but having grace will go farther than throwing vinegar. I'm not saying there aren't moments where you might not throw the vinegar out there, because sometimes that does happen. But I think just, you know, like having your grace, maintaining like your integrity through it all as well. And not also being able to see stuff from an outside perspective and not always in your own perspective. Because I know sometimes I get caught in my own head. Like, I'm really big on mental health as well. So one of the things that I've really been big on is being someone that can see through other perspectives and not just being so caught up in like ego or things like that. So I hope that answers the question.
No, that definitely does. And I love that point about grace, because a lot of times we want it, but we do not extend it to other folk. And I think that is an important piece of, if something is falling apart, you ain't got to get loud. Sometimes your power is in just literally walking away, saying nothing.
Sometimes I talk loud because I'm just such a passionate person. So sometimes my advice do get like, but I'm not mad or anything. I'm just excited. But again, that's just stuff that I've worked through over time. But yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Could I also
jump? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, real quick. Also, like, I agree with Jaz's point, but also, like, notice the energy drainers in your life, the people who you are constantly, and this could be in the industry, this could be in your just regular life, could be family, could be friend, whatever. The people who are always taking your energy, the people who are always making you feel insecure, the people who are always literally depleting you of your light, what I was talking about. Notice those people, step back and analyze, like, who are those people that you constantly have to overextend yourself just to appease, just to make feel good. Those are the people that it's like, when you look back on it, it's like, these people always are draining me. These people don't make me feel like I'm in a comfortable environment, like I'm walking on coals or eggshells. Mm-hmm. Those people, you know, and I'm always a big believer, like, I don't really burn bridges. Like, I try not to burn bridges, but I am very direct on what I want and need at this point in my life. I don't need energy drainers in my life, because the energy drainers are going to prevent me from getting to the next level where I need to be, or just me being present in this level and keeping me aware and poised and on point of where I need to be so I can get to other places. So I would just say, keep your mind on that, because the people who are constantly draining you of your light and your energy, you're going to wind up sitting with them 40 years from now talking about the things that you could have, would have, should have been. You know, I'm very big on seasons changing and people not making it to the next season. Look, it's fall and you in summer, and that's cool. Maybe we'll get back together in spring or something. But for right now, I got to put you over here, and it's no hard feelings. We just not clicking the way we supposed to right now.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, it doesn't have to be like beef neither. Like, it can just be like a silent, like, I think a lot of times people feel like if you disagree with somebody, like, you have to make it a known thing. Like, you can just silently be like, I see who you are, note it to myself, and then I'm just going to move accordingly. Like, it doesn't even sometimes have to be a conversation. It could literally just be you being like, I see what I need to do here. And I'm going to do that because when you do have these conversations, that's where things can get mixy and things can get whatever. And then people can be like, oh, well, Sylvia said this and Sylvia said that. No, Sylvia said nothing. She mentally decided who she thought you were and maybe wrote it in her journal and kept it moving. Like, that was it. Like, you're not gonna, the receipts, we're journalists. People will keep receipts. You know what I mean? So it's like, you really have to be, it doesn't have to be that. And I wanted to just, because I don't know if we're like, the very practical example to me was very much like even when I had hella opinions and suddenly I was having like a cast of couch of like, and I would put on certain friends. But I do think that like with certain people who I would put on my show, it was always like being my friend wasn't a qualification. It was like, these people are good for this episode or good for this conversation or good for this. And I happen to be their friend, but never like, you ain't seen my college and high school friends on that thing and they never would have asked. But like, I think it's like a thing where it's like, but I did notice certain people being like, oh, you didn't put me on your show. We're not friends. And I'm like, that's what this friendship is for you then? Like people will show themselves in those moments and you just have to mentally be like, oh, okay. Like Jameer, Heather, Trey have all been on Hella Opinions. None of them ever asked me to be on Hella Opinions. None of them were ever like, Sylvia, I can't believe. None of them ever like manipulated me or guilted me into it. It was a very like real recognition. We're like, oh, okay, I'm doing reality shows. Heather's a bad bitch at VH1. I'm going to like, she behind the scenes of a lot of these shows y'all don't even know. She's perfect for this conversation. It's something like that where it's just knowing and taking stock and moving in that way. So I do think it's very much about like just mentally understanding.
Yes, preach. I love that. Because literally it's going back to what I was saying earlier about like doing versus being. Recently, I could tell like, if I said, actually, no, I can't do it. The pandemic has taught me to say no and not feel guilty about it. And coming out of the pandemic, I've been able to put that boundary up and say no more. And to see people's reaction, it's like, oh, so that's what you was here for. Because when I'm able to do, it's all good. But now that I'm being and I'm practicing being and I'm working on my boundaries, now you want to have animosity. It don't have to be that. We can be graceful, like Sylvia was saying. So I love that.
Yes, these are such good points. And I know they're real. Like I know it's not a bunch of hot air because I know y'all are real. So yeah, like I hope everybody is listening closely and taking in. And remember, you have to make stuff fit your life. We are all individuals, but this is such powerful advice for folks as they make their way. And we're kind of coming in on the end. And I was going to end on, I think that, and you all have raised instances, which you just, Jaz, talked about boundaries. And this question is kind of connected to that. I think in a lot of cases, we're taught to feel guilty about the places where we do not compromise. If I'm reading the energy wrong with you now, and I don't want to talk to you, like Sylvia said, I'm going to kind of fall back a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. If it's in a sense of protecting my space, through my discernment, I'm figuring out you don't need to be in my space. So when I think of boundaries, that makes me think of the fact that we all have our places in our friendships, our personal relationships where we are not going to compromise. I think it would be helpful for people to hear where you don't compromise so that they're not feeling crazy, feeling off or feeling ridiculous or dramatic for not compromising there, if that's how they feel too. But when it comes to your friendships, and it's going to be like round robin, so I'll have everybody answer this question just to close. In your friendships, what is an area that you will not compromise, that you hold dear, and that this is a boundary for me in my friendships? We'll start with, I guess we'll go to Heather, because you haven't, yeah.
What do you mean? No.
I know you were looking too. I was like, she might not be ready for that.
That's a hard-ass question. I don't know if I want to answer it correctly, but I would say I give a lot in my friendships, to be honest. I don't know if I haven't even figured out how to identify the boundaries within my friendships. Thankful enough that none of my friendships, to me, like go overboard in a sense where I have to check them or like, establish boundaries like that I have to actually say. Mm-hmm. But where I don't compromise, I would say I don't compromise in my relationship, like with my fiance, like, and everyone knows that, like, you know what I'm saying? And it's been moments, Sylvia, do not laugh. And that's, you know, in moments when your friends want to get their 2 cents on your relationship or try to like project things into your relationship, and I don't play that type of shit. And I just cut that at the top. And I think in a work friendship way, I just feel like if I put you on in any sense or like refer you for any sense, like don't fuck it up. You know, because then I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I vouch for you, and I take that very seriously. And I vouch for a ton of people. Even when I met you like one time, I got a genuine connection with you, I'm gonna vouch for you. But I'll be like, please don't mess this up, because I really don't even know you that well. But because I felt like good energy, I'm gonna still vouch for you. So I feel like that's something that I do often. That has thus far hasn't like messed up anything. So I will continue to do so and just trust my intuition and trust my gut that whoever I refer is a great person, because I'm good at reading, you know, people's energies and people's intentions. So that's my answer. I don't know if that's what you was looking for, but that's my answer.
It was you were gonna give us what you wanted to give us, but that was perfect. You answered the question, and I'll add that this doesn't have to be this doesn't have to be anything dramatic or negative. You could say I'm not going to compromise on feeling like I'm truly connected with my friends. You know, so it's a pretty broad question, and there are a range of answers that you can have to it.
Okay, well, y'all got what I gave.
That was perfect. All right, we'll do Jameer. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. I'm not gonna compromise any longer my time. And what I mean by that is there's so many people who, like to Heather's point, will fuck up your referrals, your reputation, your line of credit that you've worked hard for. And instead of that, I'm going to tell you no, because up until this point that you've asked me for whatever you've asked me, I haven't seen any great rapport just because we met at an event. And I used to do this all the time. I used to put people on all the time for shit that just because I was like, I just want to be a good person. I just want to give blessings. You know what? Sometimes God put roadblocks in the way to tell you to, hey, don't go down that road because it's a cliff, man. Turn around. And now that I'm more cognizant of that, I'm more precious with my time and my energy. Just because you think you the next, I don't give a fuck, you know, doesn't mean that it's me who has to be the conduit for that. Everybody's not going to be the conduit to your success. I used to think that a whole bunch of people was going to put me on. And then it happened that way. And it was the people who saw my hard work, the people who I asked for advice, the people that I built genuine relationships with, that I never would put in a compromising position, that I would ask favors for. But then you got people just coming in your inbox or just thinking they met you once and now y'all family. It don't work like that. So I would say, like, just my time and my energy. And also, I'm not going to do your event just because you asked. Like, I'm not going to do your show just because you asked. I'm not going to be a part of nothing just because you asked. If I don't know you like that, and again, I'm not comfortable with your platform or the things you represent, just because I'm a good person does not mean I'm gonna leap into the fire and risk the hard work that I done work my ass off for, okay, for a decade, okay? I'm not gonna do that. So I've had to get more comfortable with myself to be like, my time, my energy, my reputation is so precious. So I tell that to everybody else. Don't fuck your shit up just because somebody is like, yo, I'm just saying we could build. That's it.
I co-sign everything you just said. Add that to mine too.
Yes.
We here.
All right, we'll do Sylvia.
Yes, co-sign Jameer. I'm gonna do a different one because I was gonna say my boundary is I will not refer you just because you're my friend. Like, contrary to what Heather said, I was like, wow, I have to know you're also good at it, because I think how I'll blanket this, because I think there's another angle to it, is like I won't compromise my integrity. And I think like my integrity for anybody, you know what I mean? So I think maybe my mama and my sister, but nobody else. So I definitely think that like there's a lot of times that people will put you in compromising positions, and as Black, especially as Black women, where we feel the need to take care of everybody. I used to feel such an allegiance of like, they Black, they in my inbox, I gotta help, I gotta do something, I'm here. I'm like, I am not Harriet Tubman. I can't free everybody. Like, it's just the case. Like, I have to take care of myself. And I like, especially I think when it gets to a place where you can't even like functionally respond to everybody and still do your job and still do all the things you have to do, you have to pick you. You have to choose you. You have to choose your quality of work. You have to choose your shows. You have to choose your conversations. Like, it's like you have to choose yourself at a lot of important parts where I feel like I wouldn't. And I think on the entertainment, like to make it about work too, you're going to make relationships with people who you work with, especially when you're in entertainment. Like I'm, you know, you make cool with publicists, managers, agents, because like these people help you get interviews. But if your client does something wrong and I have to write about that for my job, it's not going to be a PR thing. I'm a journalist. Like I was, especially at BuzzFeed, I was a reporter. I'm sorry your rapper got caught up in this, but I'm not going to report about it because me and you drank Douce at this party once on the Lower East Side. Like, that's not, like, don't get it confused. So, like, I think, like, and it's hard, especially when it's, like, the higher you climb and the more you respect these people and, like, you're fans of them, too. But it's, like, I have to choose my integrity. So, like, as a journalist, that's all you have. So I think all the way around, whether it's when I'm writing stories and having to make sure I'm just like, you know, being objective and reporting the facts when I need to, or when I'm referring people or trying to, you know, like there's 17 people who want to have a call, have a coffee, ask you to do an IG live. Like there's just so many things where it's like, I can't, I'm sorry. I don't know you and I don't know your show. And like, I'm rooting for everybody Black, but like more like in theory, you know? And that's my boundary.
How do you follow up that? That was brilliant.
Great.
Thanks. I'm like, I gotta learn this.
Not Harriet Tubman need to be on pajamas, a cup, someplace.
Like, can you do my show? I really like good luck, girl. Because I also just was not reaching out. Y'all saw when I had my show, I was building a cross. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, oh my goodness, Ava DuVernay, will you do this? You know what I mean? Or like, oh my gosh, Shonda, I love you. Please come on my show. Like, you gotta be realistic a little bit sometimes. And, you know, and we have to do that as we climb up too. It's like, you can't save everybody because you'll drown, you know? It's like, you can't save everybody because you'll drown.
All right. A word. That's all I'm gonna say. Jazz, bring it home for us.
Woo! How do you bring it home after that? I love that. To freedom.
You can do I was saying, Jazz, I know you have it in you. To freedom.
Yes. Well, I would say for the, I think for me, it's like I can't compromise my faith or my light. I think I'm gonna go that route because even being a part of this, and I know, you know, I said it before, but it's really full circle for me. I'm always going to be that young girl from Cleveland that's here. That's never going to leave. So when I'm able to be in a space like this, and I didn't even know Jameer was going to be on till afterwards, you know, Bree is somebody I went to college with back at Kit State. We were both journalism students. And I've always loved Bree and been an advocate for her. And straight from there, I moved to New York City and, you know, I interned under the likes of Jameer and Gia and Scotty. And I say all that to say, for this to come full circle, for me to not only speak on a panel with somebody I consider like a mentor, that to me is always keeping your faith and having someone that I went to college with, you know, hey, hit me up. It shows to me to never like doubt your intuition, never doubt your dreams, especially those that are like watching this, never doubt you know, God's plan for yourself. I'm big on mental health. I have a therapist. I love my therapist. I'm big on, you know, just like faith. And I can honestly say throughout, you know, my journey, that's what I refuse to compromise. I refuse to, you know, like telling you like, hey, pray about it. You know what I'm saying? Some people have tried to make me feel bad for, saying like, oh, I'm actually, like fasting right now is Ramadan because I grew up Muslim and Christian. So it's like, I'm actually going to participate in Ramadan this year. Now, that's not to say after Ramadan, I'm not going to have a drink and twerk with my friends, but that's just me being who I am and expressing like, hey, we all go through different things. We all go through adversity, but I'm at an age now as I get older, it's like, all right, we all go through shit, but it's how you navigate through that shit that's going to determine if we go be in alignment, whether if it's a business, a friend, a creative director, whatever, because, people will go through shit and they'll start projecting or whatever. And it's like, damn, I get you were going through that. But if anything, this pandemic has taught me, it's like God took away everything for us to really focus on ourselves, our being. He took away our jobs. He took away that publication. He took away that record label you was at. He took away that magazine you was working at. He took away that production company you was at. He took away your school. He took away everything. How are you going to foster home and being? And I say all that to say, just having that faith and being reminded of my light so I can be here and be present with you all. Like even Sylvia, like I can say it now, I've wanted to reach out to you for years. Like I've been like seeing your journey, but I was just like, you know what? One day it's going to happen. I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to do my Issa Rae thing, work across and, see. And now, we're here. I hope I can connect with you when I'm back in LA because I live there now. But that's what I can say. Just don't compromise your faith. My family is also very a part of our journey too. Like they get on my nerves sometimes, but I love my family to the death. Just having my mom, my sisters, and somebody that can hold me accountable when I am in these spaces and I feel like I'm forgetting who I am or I'm forgetting about, like God. My mom be like, put on Psalms. Did you read Psalms today? And I'd be like, you know what? I didn't. Let me go back to that. So yeah, that answers the question. I'm not going to compromise my faith or my light no more. And I've done it before, but I'm not doing that no more.
I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of the human and the woman that you have become. You are incredible.
Jaz, you sat here and acted like you ain't know what you knew. You didn't know what you knew you was gonna do.
I knew it.
Gave a whole benediction. No one did.
You put on the cloak of truth and you spoke to the people. Amen.
Guys, no, for real, I literally do. I don't want anyone watching to like always big up the people that came before you. Not saying you got to kiss their ass or anything like that, but it's like if I didn't have someone like Jameer that listened to me, or someone like a Gia, or someone like a Shaka Pilgrim or Law at Rock, somebody that be like, hey, you know what? I see this girl. She got something. She might be a little crazy. We might have to, she's a little rough around the edges. We got to butter up a little bit, but we can make it work. So yeah, just don't give up on yourself. Believe in yourself.
I love that, y'all. This is fulfilling. Like I have a little bit of chills because
this was fine.
This was great, right?
The heart of
do this every week or something.
To be was really a moment for people to it's really just love on each other. We work so hard. We fight so much, and we don't always get to enjoy our goodness and our greatness in our own space with our own people and not coming out of the vessel of, non-Black owned outlets and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just glad that y'all came together today. This was amazing. Thank you for giving us your time and your words. Everybody's information is at the bottom of under the video screen. So everybody's social media handles, all of that stuff. So, connect, follow them, at them, tell them how great they did. We went from the Black and Media Day Summit. It is a whole revival. We have shifted.
And I'm sorry, I have to interrupt Trey because also this whole summit is a power of friendship because Trey, everybody who you see today, it's off of the strength of Trey's relationships with them, the respect people have for Trey. I remember watching Trey launch from our couch. So I am so proud to see how it went. I did not get my t-shirt from the mailbox in time, but do not let that trip you out. I will support.
You still coordinated.
It was 8:30 in the morning in LA. It says noon, right? But like it's still morning here. Trey is the only one on a Friday. There's a very few list of people who up here.
Thanks.
So,
I'm in the hotel room.
up here, this usually, has a bigger price tag. So I want y'all to know that that's the power of friendship.
The power of friendship. I love all of y'all for real for showing up and being willing to do this, because it has come together in a beautiful way. And yes, if you want, shameless plug, we got the Black and Media shirts on sale. The link is also underneath the video thread piece. So yes, if you want a Black and Media shirt, we got
I cannot wait to be back in LA wearing this shirt. I was telling the people last night, I'm like, this shirt is a statement. Like, I can meet him. Like, don't forget. Like, I want to wear this for every Zoom call when I go back.
It's a statement, and it was also printed up by a Black-owned business. So
okay, I feel way more comfortable wearing it now. More comfortable.
But yes, I know y'all probably have things to do, places to be. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Happy Black and Media Day. Thank you to all of my wonderful, beautiful, enlightening, amazing panelists. And yes, be sure to post if you haven't posted yet. Post your Black and Media stuff. And yeah, we'll be taking a little bit of break, and then we're coming back at 2 for a podcasting panel. And this is also you trying to tip into the pod. That's definitely one you wanna tune in for. So we will see you in a bit.
Our producers on there. Yes. Now EP is on that panel, so
it's gotta be on there.
Check it out.
But thanks, y'all, and have a good rest of your Friday.
Bye. See y'all soon.
Take care, y'all. Peace.
Bye, y'all.